Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Sunday Night Satsang with Michelle and John.
Hi everybody.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. And as usual, we love to know who we're talking to. So if you don't mind clicking the hearts, it tells us that we've got people watching us. And also just type up in the comments box your name and where you're watching from, so we know we're not alone, not just watching an empty screen here. So welcome to this Sunday Satsang. And tonight we're going to be talking about the value of stillness, the value of stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any astrology to update?
Not really, no. Just a little bit, but not much.
Okay, the sun hasn't fallen out of the sky.
I don't think so. I
No?
think it's still...
Moon's still there? Okay, good. That's good news. Good news. So hello to everyone, and also if you are watching on YouTube, if you can subscribe to our channel and click the bell for notifications. That really does help broaden the reach of this satsang.
It also helps if you comment and share
Yeah, it does.
on Facebook and on YouTube. If you comment, that also actually boosts it a bit.
Yes. Hello, Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Hello, Paula. Yeah, the value of stillness, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah.
So let's wait for a few more people to join and then we shall start.
Bring us into stillness.
Yeah. So again, just let us know where you're watching from, if you've just joined. And we love to know who's watching, where you're watching from. And click the like button as well. That's also good. Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. Yeah, thank you for the hearts. Yeah.
Let's start.
So let's start the value of stillness, and we always start our sessions and we end our satsangs by taking ourselves into the stillness. So that's exactly what we do. Who's that? Beverly. Hello, Beverly. And so we're going to start this evening by centering ourselves into stillness. And what we do with these opening and closing meditations, we don't reach for meditation. We don't reach for anything. What we do is we step back into our true essence. We're stepping back into who and what we really are. So that's what meditation is. It's not reaching for some glorified state of consciousness. It's merely stepping back into your own stillness, into your true being. So we're going to start this evening doing exactly that. Hello, Janet. Yeah. So you might like to gently close your eyes and just become aware of the breathing and the breath. The breath is such a gift, first of all, from life. For the human experience, without the gift of breath, there would be no human experience. And secondly, the breath is a powerful portal into stillness, into presence. And it is really very empowering to, during the day, bring your awareness back to the focus on the breath and on the breathing. If you're faced with a challenge or a stressful situation, it really helps to bring your awareness back into alignment with the breath. Be aware of the breath. And when we breathe in these meditations, we don't breathe from our shoulders, we breathe from our solar plexus. So as we breathe in, we pull the diaphragm down and we pull the air right the way down, so we blow our tummies up. And as we breathe out now, we just sigh it out. So let's try that. A deep breath in, blowing your tummy up, so you're pulling the air right the way down. And then as you breathe out, you just release it, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it all go. Take another very deep breath in. Visualize the air going right the way down to the toes as well. And then that lovely surrendering long breath out, very long breath out. And as you breathe out, drop your shoulders. Take another very deep breath in, filling your whole body this time. From your toes up to the crown of your head, and then as you release, make the out-breath twice as long as the in-breath. Let's just hand over the breathing back to the intelligence called life. And we just allow life to breathe us in a natural rhythm, a deep rhythm, but keeping our awareness on the breath. keeping our awareness maybe on the tip of the nose, and just being aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. Just see what that feels like. Just seeing if you can pick up the temperature change between the in and the out-breath. And every time you breathe out, just relax your shoulders and sink down deeper into your body. And as you breathe out, you just surrender all that no longer serves you in this moment. Just withdrawing your mind from all other times and all other places. Just becoming supremely focused on the here and now, and everything that's appearing in your awareness in the here and now. It may be the sensation of the chair that you're sitting on. It may be all the sounds that you can hear. It may be the sensation of your hands, maybe gently resting in each other or on your laps. Maybe being aware of the feet touching the floor. It may be being aware of the temperature of the room on your cheeks. Let's take another deep breath in, very deep breath in, long breath out. And now just become aware of any thoughts that are floating through your awareness, right now, in this moment. Don't try and control the thoughts, don't push them away, just be aware of them. Be aware that you are the thinker, you are the awareness that's aware of the thought. Be aware of stepping back into alignment with life in this moment, letting go of any resistance to any sensations in the body, any discomfort, any aches and pains in the body. Just be the awareness of that, not trying to get rid of anything or change anything, but just being the awareness. And as your thoughts pass through your awareness, like clouds on a summer's afternoon, you watch them drift by. Just become aware of the space between those thoughts, the emptiness, the stillness that holds the thoughts. In the same way that the beautiful blue sky holds the cloud as it drifts across the sky. The stillness holds the thoughts, allows the thoughts to be there. Become aware of any pictures or colors behind your eyelids, any shapes. And stepping back deeper into presence, we become aware that we are the awareness of those shapes or those colors behind our eyelids. We are the awareness of them. And as we become aware of the thoughts in this moment, we realize that we are not the stories we tell ourselves. We are the stillness behind the stories, behind the drama. We are that awareness. just bring our awareness now to the beating of our hearts. And if we listen very carefully, we may even pick up the beat in our eardrums. Every time the heart beats, it pushes a pressure wave through the ears. And if we are very still and quiet inside, we can pick that pulse up. Just try it right now. And once more, become aware that you're the awareness that's listening, that's aware of the beating of the heart. And we give thanks in this moment to the intelligence, the energy called life that beats our hearts, that enables us to listen to the beating of the heart. We give awareness to the breath and the circulation of the oxygen around the body, and we give thanks for that too. For every moment, the intelligence in the body, which we call life, is supplying oxygen to the 30-odd billion cells in our bodies, bathing and nurturing and cleansing every single one of those 30 billion cells in the body with no conscious doing on our part. It's a happening in the body. And life is that happening. Life is that intelligence that orchestrates the happening in our bodies. Let's bring our awareness to the center of our hearts. And in the center of our heart there is a sacred chamber. A sacred chamber of emptiness, of stillness, quietness. Let's rest a moment in this beautiful place of stillness, becoming empty, becoming the hole in the flute, for the Christ breath to blow through, the enlightened awareness to move through us into the world. The breath of life, which is presence. And we become an open portal for love to flow into this world, illuminating the hearts of all those who are ready to receive this love, this peace and this stillness. Now take a very deep breath in. Slowly and deeply we breathe out, surrendering to life in this moment, and keeping this stillness and this quietness with us. We gently open our eyes and we just see how we feel in this moment, more real, more connected, more alive. Thank you.
Thanks, John. That was lovely.
Thank you.
It was very, very peaceful. Definitely got to that still place. It was beautiful. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. So should we just have a quiet evening tonight?
Yeah.
Shall we just sit here?
Why don't we have a silent satsang?
Yeah, we'll just sit and look at each other.
We can try that.
So we're talking about value and we're talking about stillness. And this is a month where we have energy in Taurus, which is fixed earth. It is quite slow, it is quite steady, and it does kind of encourage us to slow down and recalibrate and breathe, connect with nature. We're in the middle of eclipse season. We're heading for a lunar eclipse on the 5th, and there's lots and lots of energy around. So I think that the next month, especially May, is going to be really necessary for us to connect with that still space inside. That's why we wanted to talk about that tonight.
Yeah. And also we have an online community support program platform called Inner Space, and that's there to provide guidance and support as we move through these challenging times, these times of awakening. The word apocalypse means for the veil to come down, for that which is hidden to be revealed, and I believe we're right in the middle of that at the moment. And the Inner Space platform is just there to support and to guide. And the theme for May is we're going to be looking at values. We're going to be looking at values. And whatever we value, we place highest on our list, that we focus attention on, that we focus energy on, that we spend our money and our time in. And so tonight we thought we'd talk about the value of stillness, of quietness. Because the mind generally only values thingnesses. It values objects in time and space. But what about the space that holds the objects? What about that stillness? Now, in truth, we know the value of stillness, because we really feel so good when we are able to step back into quietness. You know, we go for a walk on the beach, or we go for a walk in the mountains, and there's this beautiful energy that comes into us. We walk in a forest, and you feel this lovely aliveness that comes into us. And if you recognize it, you see that it actually is stillness. And what happens there in nature is that the stillness in the life around us, in the environment, actually ignites the stillness within us and quietens the mind. And what that really is just a re-emergence of the awareness of who and what we really are. But the question is, can we do that when we're not walking on the beach? Can we do that when we're not in the forest or the mountains or wherever? Can we do it when we're not in a quiet place? Can we do that in the hustle and bustle of so-called normal life? And it can be. If we value it high enough, we will pay it attention irrespective of what's going on around us. We're in the supermarket and we value stillness, so we will come back to the awareness of stillness.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I think that with the way our world is at the moment, and with the technological amplification that we're experiencing, especially with this Pluto and Aquarius that's moved in, it's power through technology. It's obsessive technology. So most of us are glued to our devices for many, many hours in a day. And it's the opposite of stillness, because it's occupying our brains all the time. There's new information coming at us at a rate of knots. So it's almost that we're actually, there's like a programming happening away from stillness. So we are always looking for the next thing, and we kind of leap over the still point because there's nothing happening there. It's boring. What's happening in the stillness? And that's the place where we recalibrate, where we heal, where we get to our intuition, where we get our knowingness. That's the place, but we tend to avoid it. We avoid the void. We avoid that place of nothingness, of no thingness. As John said, thoughts are things. And we go from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, all day long. And I think that we're we're the only species that doesn't rest in between. So if you look at fields where they plant a crop, generally when they harvest the crop, they let the field stand fallow for a season so that it can replenish itself before you go and plant new seeds into it. But we, for some reason, don't feel that we need to do that. So we just keep going on this rat wheel, around and around, without taking breaks, without taking pauses. And then we wonder why we're not well, and we wonder why we spin out, and we wonder why we can't cope with the pressure. So I think stillness is probably one of the most valuable things we can value, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't think many people on the planet value stillness, because we've been programmed not to, in a way, value stillness. I mean, from the word go, we're often told to, what are you doing, and why aren't you doing more? Or, don't be lazy. Why are you daydreaming? All those sort of inputs sort of give us the message that stillness might not be such a good thing, because everybody's always asking, what's the next thing you're going to be doing? They're not asking you about the stillness or honoring the stillness. So it's really about us honoring it, I think.
It is. Just think of receiving love from your parents, for example, or even giving love to your children. Didn't you find that when you were doing something productive, that you received more so-called love from your parents? And when your children are doing something that you want them to do, that you value them more in that moment. And so we have been programmed from very early on, as Michelle said, to value the doingness rather than the beingness, rather than the stillness. The activity is more valued. So right now, just think of your own life, think of your own list of values, and how far up the list is the value of stillness, of quietness. And how much attention do you give to that, to stillness, in your day-to-day living? And you probably find that you put a lot of things above stillness. Things like maybe earning money or preparing food. Now I'm going to just make a suggestion. When you are in the process of earning money, or in the process of preparing food, for example, or of looking after your children, how about in that moment valuing stillness? Because stillness is not exclusive of doingness. You can be busy with the doingness and hold the stillness at the same time. Say, for example, you're walking in the forest. You are actively walking in the forest, and yet there's a greater degree of stillness within you. So you can be busy. You can be running a marathon and still be quiet and still inside. It's this that makes the noise. And so the process of valuing stillness is really a process of dropping our attention away from the stories and the dramas in the head and coming back into the only true place of stillness, which is in the heart. And you spoke earlier about running and coming to an empty space and jumping over.
Yeah.
That empty space, that really frightens the mind, that doesn't want to stay there at all, not even for a moment, is the present moment. So by busying ourselves with the noise, we're actually escaping very addictively from the present moment, from presence. And I'm going to suggest that presence and life are one and the same. And those of you who have a sense of sacredness, I'm going to suggest that presence, life, and the divine are all one and the same. So by removing ourselves continually with the thinking mind from the present moment, we are in a dreamlike state, removing ourselves from the presence of the divine. And I'm going to suggest that when we do that, we attract blockages within the body. Dis-ease, stress, illness is the result of removing ourselves from life. So if we are prepared to look at our list of values, which we're going to do this month in Inner Space, and start to value quietness, stillness, further up the list of values, we will pay it more attention. And that will have a profound effect on our health, on our wellness, on our relationships, and definitely on our careers as well. And it is a case of making what is more important to us than what isn't. What is always presence. What isn't is our story, is our drama, is the story about me, the story of yesterday and the projection of tomorrow. They're not there. They're not real. But the present moment is real. So in this process of valuing stillness, it's a process of becoming more present with whatever we are doing and giving our full attention into the present moment. It doesn't mean that you can't plan. It doesn't mean that you can't remember. But you don't live there. That's the dysfunction, is when people live in their stories, in their minds. That becomes totally pathological and robs us of the joy of stillness.
Mm. Yeah, I think a lot of people live from weekend to weekend or holiday to holiday. I can't wait to just relax. I can't wait to go on holiday. I can't wait for Friday. And I'm going to say, if we're living like that and can't wait for Friday, it means that we haven't got enough stillness in our awakening moments. And the energy of this time is to inject those moments into our day all the time. So especially when things are going a little bit crazy, or when there's a big stressor and you're dealing with a big challenge, that tends to be the time where we let everything go and we don't meditate and we don't wake up a little bit early and we run, and then that feeds into the drama. So if you're going through challenge, it's even more important that we actually insert those moments. The pause, insert that pause. That it's just a moment of stillness within the busyness, within the challenge. It's not about banking it all up and then on a weekend just collapsing for 2 days. It's actually about integrating it into our daily life, into everything that we do. As John said, cooking a meal, folding the laundry. It can actually be a pleasurable thing to do if you're just in presence. You can smell the laundry. It's a lovely smell when it's fresh laundry, for example. And you can actually enjoy folding it up and putting it away. As opposed to, let me do the damn laundry so I can get to the next thing, and you actually miss that moment, which could actually just be a moment of stillness while you're doing it, while you're actually involved in doing something without the resistance of trying to get to the next thing. So it's inserting those little moments into each day. It's not necessarily about sitting for 2 hours meditating every day. It really helps to meditate in the morning, really helps to meditate in the evening, but it's actually very important to insert that flow, that peace, because as John said, you're coming back into the state that you're actually supposed to be in. Because at our core, we are peace, we are love, we are that calm ocean. So it's to return to that over and over again, and that then starts to actually flow into the doingness and the things that we have to achieve and the things that we have to see to, instead of with a very hyped up sense of urgency. And it's interesting that when you're doing it in a still way, it actually goes smoother, and it's much less stressful.
You actually stretch time when you do it in stillness. Really, the more you honor stillness within you, the more you find you have actually more time to get done what needs to be done. It's just so magical what happens as we slow down. Time slows down.
It definitely.
And we find we're able to achieve way more, but we've got to honor the stillness. Now the question I have for you is are you always preparing for tomorrow? Are you always in preparation for the future? Is that how we live our lives? Always concerned about the present moment? Is what you're doing now always for the future? Or are you prepared to live your life in the depth of this moment, in the fullness of this moment, not using the present moment as a means to get somewhere, to get to the future? How much of your time, how much of your day do you spend just really appreciating everything that life has to offer you in this moment? And how much of your day is spent always focused on using this as a means to get somewhere else, to get to this this imagined future when you're going to be complete and whole and fulfilled. Because that is an illusion. Tomorrow is an illusion. Life is never tomorrow. Life is always today. It always has been and it always will be today. And how we do that is by becoming more aware of the stillness contained here and now in this moment. Because as we become more still inside, so we drop into that the plane of what we call the vertical plane. We drop into alignment with life, with love, with being, with peace. It's a case of dropping into it, not reaching for tomorrow to find it, but letting go and dropping into it. So stillness is not an accomplishment to be achieved, as you, Michelle said, on the weekend or when you go away on holiday. It's something to be dropped into in every moment. It's here. It's always here. Stillness is always underlying all the activity, in the same way that the ocean underlies all the ripples on the ocean. The ocean's always there. Problem is, we're focusing on the ripples and forgetting that we are that ocean, that ocean of stillness. And that robs us of the quality and the depth that life has to offer us in this moment, this unique gift of life in this moment.
It's those spaces in between, isn't it? I mean, if you look at music, music is not music without the spaces in between. It would just be a noise. It would be incoherent bunch of sounds. It's only music because of the spaces. Any kind of artwork, any visual art is based on spaces, not just the object. So a good landscape is a good landscape because of the spaces in between the forms, not because of the forms. So you see that in really good paintings where they're incredibly interesting negative spaces, and that's actually what draws your eye to the form that you've painted. So it's for us to actually really value the spaces, the spaces in between actions, the spaces in between words, the spaces in between actions, and to value the little bits of stillness that can come into our lives, and because those are the profound moments. And that's why we're saying, where's Friday? When can I go away? Well, why do you want to go away? You want to rest. You want to lie on the beach. You want to look at the sunset. Why? Because it's still. Because you feel still. You feel more relaxed. Your mind goes a little bit quieter. Or not. Because if you haven't had stillness, then your mind's going to go mad, even if you are on the beach. So it's training ourselves to actually honor. I think it's training ourselves to honor stillness because it isn't honored. In mainstream society, it is not honored. So we've got to honor it ourselves.
Yeah, and if you think about when you want to go on holiday and you want to get away from the stress and the noise, but in fact the biggest stressor in our lives is not the mother-in-law, the government, or the children, or the job. It's actually our thoughts about the mother-in-law, the children, and the job. And unfortunately, we take our mind with us when we go to the beach. And if, as Michelle said, if we haven't trained ourselves to honor the stillness, which is presence, we will take that noise with us. We will take that stress with us. Be lying on the beach, and yeah, for a moment it's novel to lie on the beach. But after a short while, that noisiness, that stressful mind will come back again.
Yeah.
So it's just to recognize that the real problem in life is not the objects of life. It's our thoughts about life. We were watching, there was a Michael Singer video clip, and it's about what's bothering you. And you think, well, it's the weather bothering me, or it's the government bothering me, or in South Africa it's Eskom bothering us with lack of electricity. But in fact, he points out that what's bothering you the most is you. You're bothering yourself. It's not the rain that's bothering you. It's just raining. It's just raining. The rain's not bothering anyone. It's just raining.
Thoughts about the rain that's bothering
Correct.
you.
It's your thoughts about the rain.
But it shouldn't be raining.
So it's to recognize that the biggest problem we have is not out there. It's in here. It's in us. And stillness relieves us from that bother. It relieves us from that troublesome, judgmental mind that we have. If we honor stillness, we find peace. And we find our true essence of being in the stillness.
I just want to check to see if we are still clear, because Maria says we're dropping out. Can somebody else just tell us if we are coming across okay?
Can you hear us all right or not? Because we can change server if we are dropping out.
Because we don't know. It doesn't tell us anything this side. So if somebody can just tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'll just keep going.
Yeah, but let us know.
Okay.
No, I've got the
clear. Okay, Shelley says it's clear.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
all good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, excellent.
But it's not a bad idea to keep dropping out.
Dropping out into stillness.
Suddenly
we're going quiet.
Dropping into stillness. It's not a bad idea, Maria.
Yes. Yeah, it is like that. So the process of awakening is to shift our perception from purely what's called object awareness to space awareness. And the space is the stillness. That's what it's about, to start making the space more important than the objects which are filling the space. And if we think about how we have been programmed throughout our lives to value thinking, to value thought, to value intellect, to value the processing of information, and that's not where our value lies. Our value does not lie in our ability to process information, to think. And I've been saying for many, many years that if you only value yourself on your ability to think, you will find that you have a big challenge coming up. And I remember, 10, 15 years ago talking about this, and I was saying that if you only value yourself in terms of your ability to process information, you're going to find yourself redundant. Because I mentioned it back then, there is a something coming along called the computer, which is going to be able to do all that the thinking mind does, but infinitely quicker, infinitely better. And we were just playing around today with that GP chat. What's it called?
A friend of mine was playing around with it. Chat GPT. If you haven't heard of it, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you can type in a question. Say, give me an essay on plant oils, and within 15 seconds, it will give you a fully fledged essay that you would never been able to write better. And it's not from one thing, it's AI that's actually organized all this material, all this information.
And it's written beautifully.
It's incredible.
It's written beautifully. So that is what we have.
Make that part redundant.
Yeah. So if we have only valued ourselves for our ability to process information in our mind, we're going to find, but hang on, the machines are doing it infinitely better. So what am I? I'm worthless now. But if we have taken the time to value stillness, quietness, which that GP chat, which AI knows nothing about the value of stillness. It only knows somethingnesses. It knows words. And if we have taken the time to cultivate and to value our true essence, which is beingness, which AI will never have beingness. Never. It'll only have the doingness. And it will perform pretty well in doing this, but no beingness. And I believe that for the human species to survive, we need to honor the true essence of what it is to be the human being, and to honor presence, and to honor the stillness within us. That's our real value. And there is a greater intelligence, far, far greater than the logical processing of information in linear time, which is what AI does very well. There's an infinite intelligence beyond that. It's the intelligence that created the physical body. It wasn't the logical mind that created the physical body, that puts your fingernails at the tips of your fingers. Not at all. It's not this intelligence within us that beats our heart or breathes us or enables us to listen or to speak or to walk or to hold. There's a greater intelligence. There's a greater intelligence that gets the earth to rotate on its axis and to go around the sun in 365 days and to connect to the whole of the cosmos. That intelligence we connect to through the portal of stillness, infinitely more intelligent than the limited intelligence of logic, of time-based thinking.
So I think that's how we're going to actually get through the next 20 years, because there's a huge pull to the other side. So it's going to, I've said it before, we've said it before, this is going to be a time where we're really finding out what it means to be a human being. What does human connection mean? How does it feel to be in nature without a device? How does it feel to create something just from your own sense of knowingness, or your own ability, your own talent? In order to stay as human beings, we need to actually bring that in even more than it has been in the past. Otherwise, we're going to spin out of balance with this AI thing. So it's an exciting journey, because it actually kind of squeezes you to say, okay, how are you going to integrate it? But stillness and beingness and coming back to the realization of who we actually are, that's going to be part of how we navigate it, I believe. Spending more time in harmony with nature, because nature, as John said earlier, harmonizes us. That's why when you go out into nature, you feel calmer, because Earth is a living, breathing being, and we are living, breathing beings. So when we connect to the 4 elements, 5 elements, ether as well, but when we connect to the 5 elements, it brings us back to our normal, natural vibration. And when we disconnect from that, it's still there, but we've kind of gone off the station. It's static. It's like those old radio stations that used to have a knob.
Yeah.
It'll go, and then it'll go back to just get on the station. So we just slip off it. And I do believe that it's those moments of stillness that bring us back. I know it's true in my own life, that if I can just breathe, just bring the focus to the breath when things are going a little bit mad, it just allows you to drop in, not drop out, to drop in to a deeper level.
Because if you think of nature, that's a true intelligence. And nature doesn't value time. Time is completely irrelevant in nature. For the mind, it's reality, says the mind. But it's all about time, it's all about past, and it's all about future, says the mind. And yet nature, which is predominantly, more intelligent than us and more abundant than us, doesn't value time at all. It values presence. In fact, the only thing for nature is presence. And I believe that in order to transition through this process of upgrade from the 4th to the 5th dimension, we have to align more and more and more with the intelligence of life, beyond the logic of the mind. And in order to do that, we have to let go of the noise of the mind, have to let go of valuing the mind so highly in our awareness. Because one of the things that we have been programmed to believe is that the value of this humanness lies in its doingness. And so our self-worth and self-esteem is very much based on what have you done, what can you achieve, and it's all about time. But if you remove time from that sense of valuing yourself, just imagine if you remove time completely from your sense of self-worth, if you had no past and no future, how diminished would that sense of value be? Well, if you only knew yourself in terms of achievement and in terms of projection to the future, you'd have no value in that moment. But there's a depth of value that is in presence, in beingness, that completely supersedes and eclipses the value of doingness. You go and sit on a rock. Go and sit on a rock and watch the sunset. And in that moment your mind clears. And you find the true value of life in that moment. It's got nothing to do with doingness. It's all in alignment with beingness. And if we don't find the value in our presence, in our beingness within us, we won't find it in other people. We will interact with other people only in terms of the doingness. We will value other people in what can they do for me. And that is a mad way to live our lives. It's a disconnected way from living our life. And it's also a world created on that false evidence appearing real, which is fear. And that's the old world. And that world is very destructive to the human spirit. And in order to survive, in order to grow, in order to thrive in the fifth dimension, we have to honor love more than fear. And that is to honor stillness more than doingness. The doingness will still happen, but we will do the doingness with a greater alignment to an infinitely more intelligent intelligence called life. And that comes through the portal of stillness, of inner stillness.
And it opens the door to spontaneity and to different things unfolding and creativity that you just don't get if you've filled up all your spaces. If your cup's full with all sorts of other stuff, there's no space to actually create something new. And so for me it's about taking those moments of stillness and then stretching them. So if you normally sit for 2 minutes and have your cup of tea, stretch it to 5 minutes and see if you can just sit, or just walk, just sit, just wash the dishes, just brush your teeth. Because all those moments you're actually still, you're moving, but you're in stillness. You're not trying to get to the next thing. I'm brushing my teeth right now. That's it. So you're in stillness there. You're not just sitting in stillness, but you're in a state of stillness. And then you move into your next action, and you extend that stillness into the next action. So that for me, that's what happens. And then eventually those still points start to kind of merge, and then there's this river of stillness. And often we find that on a weekend when we're not as hectic, and we find those moments of stillness, and they look like little beads, and then they all come together. And at the end of the weekend we feel a bit more relaxed because you've had those moments. And then we go hurtling into Monday morning, and what happens? All the craziness, and then the routine goes out the window, the meditation goes out the window, the journaling goes out the window. We haven't got any more time to sit. And my experience is that if you make time to sit for 5 minutes, you do stretch time. It's an actual thing. You can stretch time. You'll get more done in less time because you're coming from that expanded state of awareness as opposed to a contracted, tense state of awareness, which is when time actually tends to squeeze. It feels like it's actually getting less because we've got less. When we're expanded, time expands because we create our universe and we impact the field. So it's just to insert those little moments. That's where it starts.
And the greatest level of expansion is in stillness, in space consciousness rather than object consciousness. Objects are very limited. Space is infinite, eternal, goes on forever. Space. Objects are finite. And as we start to align ourselves with the infinite nature of stillness, so we expand, as Michelle said, we expand. And it's a matter of valuing stillness. So again, the question is, where do you put stillness, quietness, on your list of values?
Shall we draw a card?
Yes, let's draw a card. I'll draw this card. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah. Let's go for the light.
Okay.
Yeah. So just before we leave, just to say that next week we won't be doing a satsang. We are away on a special retreat. So we won't be here next Sunday, but we'll be back the Sunday after that. Yeah. Beautiful. And if you want to join us for our month of looking at values on inner space, connecting more with the inner space, then go to journeysofawakening.com and you can register for inner space if you're not already there. I know a lot of you are. But if you're not and you would like to join this beautiful community, then please go to journeysofawakening.com and register there.
And we also, just so we need to remind you, we've got a retreat coming up at the Buddhist Retreat Center. It's that first week.
It's the second to the 6th of June. The 2nd to the 6th of June, and bookings are open. There are not too many spaces left. That's at Ikopo, which is in KZN in South Africa, and it was that Buddhist Retreat Center was rated by CNN as one of the top 10 retreat centers in the world. So do come along if you really want to immerse yourself in the beauty of stillness. Then do come along for that. The 2nd to the 6th of June. And what are we retreating?
I can't remember what the exact title of it is.
It was something to do with the sacredness of the feminine and the masculine, if I remember correctly. No, was this you as well?
Okay,
no?
I don't know.
I think so. We can't remember. But if you go on the Buddhist Retreat Center website, they've got it, and we'll be there. Yeah, 2nd to the 6th of June. Yeah, and we don't handle any of the bookings or anything like that. You've got to do it directly with the BRC. The BRC, they handle everything.
Yeah, they handle it all. And the food's amazing.
Yeah. But many people go there just for the food.
No, the food's incredible.
Never mind the stillness, but the stillness is more amazing.
Good too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, beautiful hills of that area. It's lovely.
Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight. If you have enjoyed it tonight, if you're watching on Facebook, please press the like button and the share button. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell so you get notifications. And thank you for the hearts that have been coming through. We really appreciate that. Thank you. So you're going to lead us out with a meditation, and then we've got the affirmation card for tonight, which we can use to help us navigate the week ahead. Yeah, it's an affirmation of deep truth that we've got in the card tonight, in the affirmation card. Deep truth. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's just settle in. Make yourself really comfortable if you're not already. And take a beautiful, deep, 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 slow breath in. And then let it all go. And another deep, beautiful breath in. All the way up to the top of your chest. And then blow the breath out through your mouth, as if you're blowing through a straw. Blow all the breath out. Let's do another one. Deep breath in. And as you blow the breath out, relax your shoulders and allow the tension to just melt off you, just in this moment. Allow yourself to just notice your breath now. No trying to make it do anything, just noticing it. As it enters through your nostrils and as it exits. Just being the still presence that observes the breath. Listen very carefully to the stillness. See if you can find the spaces in your listening between the sounds. Notice how listening very intently brings us to stillness. Allow your breathing to soften along with your body. Releasing anything and everything other than this moment now. just like a leaf or a feather, floating down, floating downwards and downwards and downwards, and then landing very gently on a very still pond. Feel the stillness within you. As you breathe out, expand into this stillness. Allow the stillness to fill you up. To fill up your whole body. To fill up your whole being. Keep softening and keep dropping into this moment. If you notice the mind, which might be telling you one thing or another, see if you can just turn it down a bit, like a radio, and tune in to the spaces, to the stillness. If you feel resistance in your body at all, just breathe into that resistance and soften it. Let it go. Observing whatever's coming up for you, and attaching to nothing. Just this, right now, right here. This beingness. This peace. And in this beautiful state of peace, I'll read the card for the evening and for the week. The card is I am enlightened and I radiate peace into the world. As you sit here, you are filled with light. And as you connect with the peace and the stillness inside you, it can only radiate out from you. So set an intention this week to reconnect with this place of stillness. Throughout your day, throughout your night, if you wake up and you can't sleep, connect with this place. This place of no thingness. This place of peace, it's always here. It's just for us to remember it, to remember to return to it. And taking a deep breath in. And out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you for all being here tonight. It's beautiful. We love you all. And we look forward to catching up with you either on Inner Space or in 2 weeks' time for another Sunday Satsang with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bless you all.
Lots of love.
God bless.